our people see the numbers. We make sure our people know the numbers, right? Because they have to know what they're up against. And it's not to create a sense of hyper vigilism with them. It's just to, you know, if you don't know what you're up against, you're behind the eight ball with that. So yes, we do. Our people do. We train on it and in service, just to let them know. And it's, the other things involved too that, the constant barrage of the 24/7 news cycle and all the different media outlets and the social media, it's exhausting. And our officers feel that, from Ferguson to the summer of 2020 to today. I think all law enforcement is feeling the increased sense of possible harm that we could endure. And, daily we're dealing with the stress of society's increased aggravation and hostility towards law enforcement. So, when we look at that and I talk with our officers on the street, I can see it and you can feel it that they are shouldering this weight. They still want to serve their community and they really want to protect and they want to make sure they do everything right, but they are feeling that weight on them. It can be overwhelming. Now, I believe what we can do is to help them keep up the good fight, right? We need to support our people. We need to give them the training, the equipment needed so that, they can improve their confidence. They can stay disciplined. They can encourage growth through their learning to enhance their ability to stay safe and survive. And if we do that, maybe, just maybe, I think we as a vocation, I think we can get to zero. As the old adage goes, nothing stays the same, right? Things change. And in law enforcement, what is acceptable today may not be acceptable tomorrow. So training, must be nimble. Our officers are faced with infinite threats that they have to respond to, and they have to respond to these infinite threats within finite boundaries, right? The finite boundaries of the Constitution and law. So for us to help them be successful, I believe law enforcement should use scenario-based training, under pressure, using live fire, simunitions, virtual reality. We have used all of these, etc. And as well, I think we need to incorporate emotional intelligence training and resiliency training. Because the bottom line is when we are talking about training for these types of attacks and ambushes, our officers need resolve, right? They need to know that they will win. We need to train them to win. We need to build resolve by building their confidence, and we build confidence through their training, the equipment we provide them, and the support that we give them. Now, this is crucial because officers have to be confident in their abilities, right? To be disciplined, to be consistent in applying officer safety tactics, really tactics that have been proven over and over again for decades to keep officers safe. And then what do we do with that kind of training? We repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. All those fundamental officer safety practices. This is the foundation we build upon to increase our ability to survive attacks. Because as we build this confidence in our officers, I believe we're going to reduce complacency. And by reducing complacency, we are improving learning. And all of that combined improves our survivability. So as we evolve our training with new technology and new skills to counteract these new threats, we must ensure these new skills build upon the foundation of those proven officer safety tactics and not be separated as standalone tactics, right? So additionally, we also have to make time for training, and this is a headache for every agency. I get that. We wrestle with how to find the money and how to get the resources, but we can't skip on that. We have to become more and more creative as training evolves. So we can go back to some of the basics. We can still go back to roll call trainings and frontline supervisors providing training. What happened yesterday? How did we do? What can we do better? They can be providing information. We can be making videos for our officers. We do that here so they can watch videos when they have a little bit of downtime. They can review their body-worn cameras. And basically, don't be tied down to your academy. We recently purchased a mobile modular shoot house and a virtual reality simulator. And, those are great because we don't have to be at the academy for that. We can set up the VR in one of our district stations, and when you go through ambush scenarios or active shooter scenarios, we can set up the modular shoot house pretty much in any building that we have access to, and we have several of those. Even set it up outside and have our officers go through building clearing and different things like that, so they can learn their techniques and rely on their abilities to manage their weapons. And then lastly, I'd probably say to our people, how do we replicate these types of things? I say, don't rely on your budget, right? We in Chesterfield have used other resources to buy equipment when our money ran out. You know, our criminal asset forfeiture money, for example, or we have donated funds. You know, every community has people and businesses in it that want their communities to be safe. They want to stop the violence that's impacting their communities. So they are willing to help us. We have to be willing to reach out and build those partnerships so that when our budget does run out, maybe there are other ways that we can buy this life-saving equipment to help our officers and the people in our communities. And just to wrap it up here, I think the last thing I'd like to mention is we all should be taking advantage of the free training available to us. And just to give kudos to Valor and BJA, you know, they have free training. Officers can use these modules as time permits, and it's a great free resource for them.